It's been months since my last My Hero Academia video, and that's because these figures takes time to finish. This is my second to last wave of figures from Class 1A. I actually just recently finished my final wave, and I'll make a video on them hopefully sooner rather than much later. After that, I moved on to the other students and the heroes and villains, but I'm going to take a break on those. So yeah, I am making all my All For One and other characters who have some prominent role in the story. So don't ask, because chances are the answer is yes, unless I state otherwise in a video. For this wave, I have Toru Hagakure in her cheerleader outfit, Yuya Aoyama, Mina Ashido, Denki Kaminari, Rikido Sato, and Kyoka Jiro. I am so glad I'm actually finished with this project. All I really need to do is just make a final video showcasing everyone, and call it a day. These figures make perfect additions to my custom minifigure collection. It is a huge project of mine I started last year, and I can't wait to finally showcase everything in the video in the future. Please check out my other previous 2 videos of My Hero Academia if you're new and haven't seen the figures before. I stated in the previous video that I will make more versions of Toru in every My Hero Academia video because it is funny for this, so I made her in a cheerleader outfit. This was actually a very interesting figure to make because I wanted to make her torso see-through but have a sculpted chest. If you notice already, the chest is actually hollow. How I managed to do that at first, I sculpted the boobs onto the random torso using pro-grade putty, and once that dries, I sculpted a thin layer on top of the chest and let that to dry. Once the thin layer is all dried up, I carefully peel it off from the chest and I glue it onto a clear transparent torso. Now people ask me where I got this transparent torso. They used to have them on Amazon and sometimes on eBay, however from my knowledge so far they sold out, so I recommend searching through the internet carefully, because I don't have the right answer. They might have it on AliExpress, just keep googling, you'll eventually find it somewhere. I found it on some random site that I don't know the name of, and I'm not so sure if they have it on stock. Most likely not, because I bought a bulk of them months ago, so I don't know if they still have it in stock anyways, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. After I sculpted her cheerleader uniform on, I painted the rest of the detail. I even sculpted her collar and the shoelaces. I used a Cape Madness waist cape and I modified it. I used Lego's pom-pom pieces and I painted them in yellow. This was a really fun figure to make and it's actually quite unique in my collection. Yuya Aoyama is a character I don't really care about that much, but I still think his presence can be quite funny when a show or manga focuses on him. It gives us enough material for us to at least know more about him, which is what I like about the characters in the show. Starting with the top, I used an old Anakin Skywalker hairpiece in the early 2000s and I added some additional sculpted hairpins. I then cut out a piece of plastic, colored it red, and I glued it to his hair. His face is actually all fully painted and I sculpted his collar. His torso has a sculpted belt and a tiny LED in the middle, which I will get into later. His arms have sculpted shoulder pads and gauntlets. Onto its waist cape, I just cut up a piece of fabric and glued it onto his Lego leg assembly. The torso and leg assembly are glued together, which I will explain soon, because it has to do with the LED feature. His legs have sculpted knee pads and painted detail. Now onto the LED, his cape actually covers a huge hole in his back. The LED setup was actually very difficult and really different than how I usually install LED in figures. Usually when I install LED in minifigures, I have them around the neck so that way the eyes can glow. But for Aoyama, his stomach area has to glow, which means installing a battery has to be different. I can't use the same way I've done before because of the way I do it in my previous minifigs, the leg assembly has to be cut up and the battery can fit in between the pegs, but you can't do that for Aoyama since the LED is on the area where the battery is supposed to be connected. I don't have to worry about like battery casing because the cape covers it up anyway. It may not look neat, but you can't really see it anyway, and plus it has a really cool effect and it was something I cannot pass up at all. Mina Ashido is considered best girl by a good chunk of fans, and you know, I can see why. She's horny, she's cheerful, and her power is lube. I know a certain weeb degenerate of mine would love this figure. Her hair is actually Jay's hairpiece from the Lego Ninjago movie. It was actually the same hair I used for Deku for the base, but I actually sculpted it differently. Obviously, one of those differences are her horns, first of all, and as for the rest of the hair, they're actually oriented differently, so that way they're not exactly the same as Deku. It's definitely a lot more curly. Her head is also fully painted, and I actually love how it turned out. Her melons are sculpted and I made sure they're round and bouncy to turn Jason on. I then sculpted her jacket on top of her acid balloons and her back, and I sculpted her fur collar. That was actually really fun to sculpt, and it's not as difficult as you really think. The rest of the figure is actually fully painted. The purple patterns are actually mostly random, but I did try my best to replicate it exactly the way it looks in the show. Her acidic quirk is actually made with fiber optics and hot glue to give it the acidic look, so that way it looks like lube, and that is super hot. Denki Kaminari, or retarded Pikachu as I like to call him, is also another figure I'm actually quite proud of. His hair is fully sculpted and painted. For this figure, I went with his second hero outfit because it does have more details and accessories compared to his original. His jacket is from Cape Madness, which I modified. His right arm has the gay Yu-Gi-Oh! Time to Duel gauntlet, which I sculpted, and the strap is made with E-tape. His belt is also made with E-tape, and the magazine clip for his card dueling doohickey is also sculpted too. Rests, such as the legs, are painted. Now, the definitive trait for his electricity quirk is that when he orbit charges himself, his brain fries. So what I did, I painted an alternative facial expression, and I just love how retarded this looks. Rikido Sato was a challenging minifigure, and it's not because of the amount of sculpt, but it's just the amount of time put into it. I started off with a yellow head for the base, and I sculpted his hair. I sculpted his lips as well because I just thought it would look really funny, and it does. Rest is all fully painted. I extended his arms and legs, and his torso a bit just by using the Lego Batman belt piece. For his arms, I extended it by cutting off a piece of the Lego arm and gluing it to the ends where the hand goes. And as for the legs, I just cut off the toes and I glued a 1x1 tile on the bottom and I sanded the side, so that way there's a little gap in between the legs. Then I wrapped the leg around with E-tape to cover the hole where the missing toe was. Other parts I sculpted are his arm muscles, chest, and back. His gloves and boots are wrapped with E-tape, and I also decided to paint black lines for highlighting certain muscle areas for shading, and it does really stand out. And for accessories, I just gave him cookies. Now, I personally don't really care about Jiro that much because so far the story did not give her that much attention for me to care, but regardless, this is actually probably my favorite minifigure in this video because of the functionality. Her hair is actually a bowl cut hairpiece, and I sculpted additional hair bits and headphones. At the end of the headphones, I actually glued a tiny piece of rubber wire tubes on the bottom for her headphone quirk to attach. The headphones are actually fully sculpted with dried Procreate, and I will go over the functions later. Her torso does not have a sculpted chest because she is flat. Her jacket is from Cape Madness with heavy modification. Her arms have sculpted sleeves, and I made her gauntlets with the open Lego stud for the strap, and I sculpted gauntlets on top. Her legs are actually really simple, but I sculpted a little headphone insert on the side of her legs. Now onto her quirk, her headphone ears. Originally, I wanted to have the headphone extend in and out of her hair, but that was actually proven difficult to achieve because they would never go back in and they would usually break easily. So what I did was I just sculpted 3 different sizes for her headphones. One when they are not in use, another when she plugs them into her gauntlets, and another to plug into her boot speakers. The leg and gauntlets have holes for the headphones to connect. This was a really challenging figure, but in the end, it actually turned out to be one of my most innovative and best overall. That is all, and for the next video, it's the rest of the Class 1A, such as Momo Yaoyorozu, Mineta, Shoji, Kota, and Ojiro. And as for a Toru custom, I already made her in her casual outfit. We're almost near the end, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later for the final My Hero Academia video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.